So when we deal with rates, we're actually going to have two units. We're going to have units for the numerator of our fraction and the denominator of our fraction. And we want to make sure that we get the order correct in terms of how we write that. So here's an example of a rate. There's 25 and then mph, which you may be familiar with. This is the same thing as 25 miles per hour. Now, when we deal with these kind of distance per time, or really anything per anything, that per relates to a division symbol. That's where we're going to be separating our numerator and denominator. And what we could even do is rewrite this another way as well. We could say this is 25 miles per 1 hour. Really, the units of this piece after per is 1. It's like we can cover 25 miles in 1 hour. So 25 miles are covered per single hour. So with that, still thinking of this as my division symbol, how I can also write this is 25 miles in the numerator divided by 1 hour in the denominator. And this is what we want to get to. They're going to describe a rate to us, and to change our kind of starting fraction that we want to write down, we need to make it a fraction, and we just need to recognize what goes in the numerator and what goes in the denominator. Typically it's just in order, reading left to right, and then just recognizing where you have that per for the rate is our division symbol separating the two. So if I have 8 ounces per minute, again, if it helps, you could write that as 8 ounces per 1 minute. If they don't specify the amount, then it's a 1 there, and that per is going to be our division. So this is the same thing as having 8 ounces per 1 minute. So what's going to be happening here is we might want to change the rate that we're talking about. We might want to convert this to some other measurement, like maybe we want this in gallons, and maybe we want this in hours, something like that. So what we'll do is we've had lots of practice converting the numerator. Everything we've done so far has been about converting this numerator and getting it to cancel out. If we want to convert the units of the denominator as well, which is a new thing here, having units down here, it's going to be the same process. It's just how things cancel. We need to keep in mind that things cancel numerator to denominator. So if I have minutes here and I want to change it to hours, then my minutes would need to cancel and my minutes would have to be up in the numerator here and hours in the denominator. So let's see how that works. It's a bit easier as we actually try it as we go. All right. So let's say we have 64 feet per minute. So this is our given value. And that per is going to be my division symbol. So this is the same thing as 64 feet per 1 minute. So we have units in the numerator, units in the denominator. We want to change this to miles per hour. So there's kind of two conversions happening here. I have feet in the numerator, and I want to convert that to miles, which we should have just a single conversion there, knowing that 5,280 feet is equal to 1 mile. So that's going to change to miles, and that'll be happening in the numerator. And then the denominator, where we're starting with minutes, we're also going to have a conversion down there, where we're going to convert from minutes to hours. So we have these two conversion pieces that we need to do. But basically, I want to work with this fraction in such a way that in the numerator, I have units of miles. In the denominator, I have units of hours. Now we want to take care of these one at a time. And since we've had lots of practice converting the numerator, let's start there. Let's say I start by focusing on, I have feet up here, and I want to change to miles. And I'm not really doing much different here, of that I'm going to create my unit fraction, we want feet to cancel out. So since feet's in the numerator, I want feet in the denominator. So they cancel. And I want to end up with miles. And then we have our conversion that 5,280 feet is equal to 1 mile. And with that, feet will cancel out and we'll have the units of miles that we want there. So we've taken care of the numerator. Now what I need to do is take care of the denominator where we have minutes, and I want to convert, I'm just going to skip over that piece there. I want to convert it to hours. So I'm going to multiply on another fraction here to convert. Now I want minutes to cancel out. There's kind of two things that I want to do here. I want minutes to cancel out, and I want hours to end up in the denominator here. So for minutes to cancel out, if it's already in the denominator, then it has to be up here in the numerator, because that's how it would cancel out, is numerator to denominator. If I put it in the denominator, then I'm going to end up with minutes times minutes down there, and then I'll have minutes squared, which is hard to think about, and we don't want that. So it should always be going across numerator to denominator. And we want hours in the denominator then. And we know that 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So with this setup here, minutes is going to cancel out denominator to numerator. We're going to have hours left over in the denominator, which is exactly what we want. We want miles in the numerator, hours in the denominator, just like I outlined up here. So for units, this is working out great. So equals, numerically, I have 64 times 1 times 60 in the numerator. In the denominator, 1 times 5,280 times 1 in the denominator. So with that, let's use our calculator. So let's see, 64 times 60 and 5,280 in the denominator. And let's call that, let's round it to 2 decimal places for a 0.73. So we're going to have 0.73. And then for units, we have miles over hours. But we could write that as 0.73 miles per hour for how those units work out. So 2 stages to this. One stage we're familiar with, that's converting our numerator, converting the units there to end up where we want to be. The new piece is converting units from the denominator, and it's really the same structure. We just need to make sure things cancel out correctly so we end up with the correct units there. Okay, let's do another example like this. And I'm actually going to, nope, this is perfect. 25 liters per second to fluid ounces per hour. All right, so we're starting with 25 liters per second. And we want to convert to fluid ounces per hour. So we're going to go liters to fluid ounces. And we're going to go seconds to hours. Now what I'm going to do is consult my conversion sheet and see if I can make these conversions easily. So liters to fluid ounces. If I look at my page here, and liters is metric, where fluid ounces is US, so that's something to recognize here. And what I could see is I do have the conversion for fluid ounces, but I need milliliters. So that's something I'm going to need to do first. I'm going to need to go from liters to milliliters, then to fluid ounces, which this is a conversion within metric, so that's not going to be too bad. That's just going to be moving a decimal around. In fact, let's go ahead and take care of that now. So if I want to change 25 liters to milliliters, if we go to our little handy dandy sheet of I'm starting with liters and I want to end up at milliliters, I want to go 1, 2, 3 to the right. So if I want to go right 3, so I'm moving between our different pages here. So to do this, I need to go right 3. So if my decimal's there right now, I would go 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to need 3 zeros there. So what I have now is 25,000 milliliters per second. So if you have these conversions within metric first, it's just going to be a matter of moving your decimals, so you don't need to use the special fractions. So now what I did is I took care of changing to milliliters. So now I just need to go from milliliters to fluid ounces, which we do have that conversion on our sheet. So what I have for my fraction here is 25,000 milliliters per 1 second. And I'll talk about time in a second, but I'm just going to focus on changing the milliliters to fluid ounces. So we're going milliliters to fluid ounces. So with this, I want milliliters to cancel out, so that's going to go in the denominator. Fluid ounces we want, which is going to go in the numerator. And our conversion, just to look at it again, 29.57 milliliters. To 1 fluid ounce. So with that, milliliters cancel out, and we now have something in fluid ounces in the numerator, which is perfect. So 2 conversions there. It's just one of those conversions can be done off to the side without the fraction, just by looking at converting within the metric system. And then from there, moving forward. Okay, for time, we have seconds and we want to convert to hours. So there's going to be a middle step where I need to convert to minutes. So first thing I'm going to do here is we have something in seconds, and I'm going to convert to minutes. So I'm going to multiply by my unit fraction. We want seconds to cancel out, so because that's in the denominator, I need it in the numerator, so it will cancel, and we want minutes in the denominator. And there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So with that, seconds will cancel denominator to numerator, and we're left with minutes. But we want hours, so we need to do one more step to get hours. So with that, minutes is in the denominator, so to cancel it out, I need to put it in the numerator. So we get that canceling across, and I want hours in the denominator, as we showed over here. So we want fluid ounces in the numerator, hours in the denominator, and let's see, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, and with that, minutes will cancel, and we're left with hours in the denominator. So I have my units working perfectly here, where it's fluid ounces per hour. Then numerically, I just need to get that into the calculator to help me out. So we're going to divide up my fraction, 25,000 times 60 times 60, all over 29.57. And that is a big old number right there. So let's see if I can split this up. 3043,625. I'm just going to round that to a whole number because by memory, I think I can shrink this down. Sorry, somehow copying that number became the difficulty of this question. Here we go. Okay. Equals 3043,625. And then let's go rounding to 2 decimal places, 0.3. And units will be fluid ounces per hour. So again, with these, start by converting the numerator, then convert the denominator. Really the steps end up being similar to what we were doing. There's just a lot to organize, so just be careful with it. Take your time with it and make sure the units cancel out correctly and leave what we want behind with it as well.